Hey fellow foodies, it's Faye from facefood.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a lemon tart. So this is optional, but I really like the addition that this blueberry sauce adds to the tart. So we're going to be making a fresh blueberry sauce. So I'm using some frozen blueberries, but you can also use fresh blueberries. And I just have it in a saucepan with some ingredients including sugar, water, lemon juice, lemon zest. We're bringing it up to a boil so that we can really boil it down. And you want to be crushing the blueberries a bit with your wooden spoon as this cooks. And I'm going to take it off the heat once it's all set, and I'm going to add in the slurry. And this is just some water mixed with some cornstarch, and this is what's going to thicken our sauce. Alright, once that's in there, I'm also going to add in some vanilla extract. I always add vanilla off heat. We'll mix in the slurry first. And then this is our finished sauce. I did put it on the heat again after I added in the slurry and vanilla just for like another minute, and then I just took it back off heat. And this is our finished sauce. You can see just how thick it is already, and it's going to even thicken even more as it sits. So I just placed it in a separate bowl to cool to room temp before placing it in the fridge, and then that's going to be ready to go for our tart. Now we can work on the tart dough. So it's kind of unconventional, but we're going to be adding some egg yolks, actually boiled egg yolks, to our tart dough. And this adds richness, it adds a tender texture to the tart dough, so this is why we do it. Alright, so you just want to boil your eggs, and then you cut the boiled egg in half, and then you're just going to separate the yolks from the whites. And really all we need is the yolks. You can eat the whites or discard them, whatever you choose. And then I'm going to push the yolks through a strainer. You can use a bigger strainer. I just chose a little one to, I guess, make my job more difficult. But you just want to push all the yolks through until you get a fluffy kind of texture. Alright, so the finished product should look like this. Kind of like grated cheese. Alright, so that is ready to go. Now we can actually start working on mixing our dough. We have some unsalted butter in our mixer, and I'm just going to give this a go on like a medium speed just to break up the butter a bit. And of course you want your butter at room temp. But with this tart dough, you want it slightly cooler than room temp. So not too cold, not too warm. And now I'm going to gradually add in the granulated sugar. And once that's in there, we can bump up the speed a bit. Right, so now I'm going to add in the egg yolks all at once. And I'm also going to add in the vanilla extract. And once all our ingredients are in there, we can go ahead and bump up the speed a bit. Again, we don't want to aerate this dough, so I don't want to put it on like a high speed or something like that. I just want it enough of a speed where I can actually get this to a smooth paste mixture. So like a medium low to a medium will do, just for a bit. Okay, so this is mixing away. And now I'm going to stop the mixing process, and I'm going to scrape the bowl really well. This is key whenever you're mixing anything in these stand mixers. It doesn't tend to get the bottom really well, or even some of the sides, so it's very important to always scrape down the bowl and the paddle. Okay, so we're gonna get this going on a low speed again, and now we can add in our actual eggs, our whole eggs. And again, this is just going to add more richness to the dough and color as well. This is a yellow short dough, so it's going to contribute to that yellow color we're looking for. Alright, so again, you see I stopped the bowl after I added in both eggs, and I stopped the mixing, I'm sorry, and I scraped the bowl down really well. Alright, so I'm going to stop the mixer again, and I'm just going to dump in all the flour at once. And we're actually using cake flour because this is going to lead to a more tender crust. So you can see once it's in there, we really want to mix it on the absolute lowest setting because this stuff will fly everywhere if you don't do that. So you don't want to mess on your hands. Why give yourself more work, you know? Alright, and once it's a bit more incorporated, you want to stop the bowl. I keep saying stop the bowl, but I mean stop the mixing. And you can scrape down the bowl really well again, and then get it going on a low speed. I wouldn't raise it more than a low speed just because the flour, even when incorporated, the mixture overall is kind of a crummy mixture, no pun intended, in terms of there's just a lot of crumbs, so it would fly everywhere if you raise it more than kind of a low speed. Now what you're looking for is, you can see it's very a lot of crumbs, looks kind of dry, but as long as it clumps up when you you know, mash it together in your hands, that's what you're looking for. If you feel, use your judgment. So if you feel it's very, very dry, you can add a bit of lemon juice to it or water to it to improve the texture. It really is going to depend on the humidity of your kitchen, but overall, use your judgment. Okay, so if you do need a little bit of water added in, mix it in, and until you feel that the dough is workable for you. Now you can do this one of two ways: placing it in the tart pan. We're using like a removable bottom tart pan. You can do this one of two ways. One, you can actually roll it out and place it in your tart pan, or you can just do what I did and just place the dough all in the tart pan and work it with your fingers. Whatever way you prefer, either way will work. Key is you don't want too thick of a crust, so be mindful of that. You want to have the dough relatively cool because it's just going to be easier to work that way. And once it's all in the pan, you can use a measuring cup to flatten the bottom, the sides, and you want to cut off the excess around the edges with a knife. Okay, then you want to take a fork, and we're going to dock the bottom of the dough, and what this is going to do is going to release that excess steam so that the crust doesn't like balloon up on the bottom. Okay, so once that is done, we can actually place this in our oven, our preheated oven at 350, and it's going to bake for about 20 minutes. Do check it at the 10 to 15 minute mark. It's going to not gain much color, but it should be cooked fully. Alright, so now that our dough is fully cooked, our tart shell is completely pre-baked, we can focus on the actual curd filling. So over a double boiler, so I have a pot of water, and then I have a mixing bowl over the top, which is what a double boiler is. I have my curd ingredients. So I got that going for a bit, but then I also remembered I want to add the blueberry to the bottom. So I just turned it down to a low setting while the curd ingredients is just sitting there, so I can focus on doing this. You just want to spread a bit on the bottom of our sauce, a bit on the bottom of the crust, and then you can go ahead and focus back in on your curd. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to whisk this frequently until it reaches 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, you don't want to cook it too fast. You want it kind of over a medium to medium high heat. You want to continue whisking until you reach the stage where it will, your finger can clearly run through the curd on the back of a spoon, and it shouldn't leave, shouldn't drip or leave a track. So once we reach that stage, I actually turn off the heat, but I keep it over the oven. And then I'm going to add in our bloomed gelatin. So I just bloomed a little bit of gelatin in cold water. I let it sit for a few minutes, and that's how you get the bloomed gelatin. Of course, I'm using halal powdered gelatin to use as our bloomed gelatin. I also add in the vanilla extract off heat because, again, you don't want to add vanilla extract on heat. So we added those in, and now I'm going to slowly add in our chunks of butter while whisking frequently. And again, this is off heat. The residual heat will cook this down. If you find that you need to bump up the heat at all or turn it on at all, just turn it to a low setting and then get this whisked up. Okay, so once all the butter is in there, you can see it's gonna kind of become a velvety, rich, thick mixture, and that is what we're looking for. But immediately after it's done, what you're going to want to do is use it immediately because it will set up pretty quickly. So right off the heat, we're going to go ahead and pour this mixture over the top of our blueberry filling, and you just want to swirl it around. You don't want to mess with the actual filling in the tart pan too much. So like I said, this will set up rather quickly, so you really want to move quickly and you don't want to mess with it too much. Alright, I'm going to smooth this out just a bit, and this is ready to go in the fridge. So how I like to cover this, because custards tend to crust a bit in the fridge, is I actually use a bigger size cake pan to just cover this. That way there's no saran wrap involved. It's not a headache. It's just like a saran wrap or aluminum foil would be. It's just you put a pan over the top. That way the air is kind of limited from the surface, and there's no like crusty top basically. Right, so you want to let this sit for at least 4 hours, but you can definitely do it overnight. I definitely suggest that. But at least 4 hours minimum for it to set up. And then you can decorate it as you please. I'm going to decorate it with just a bit of powdered sugar. Well, actually a lot of powdered sugar, just because I'm going to actually brulee it a bit. I'm going to take my torch and brulee the powdered sugar, which is just torching the powdered sugar a bit. And again, this is completely optional. You can decorate as you please. If you weren't bruleeing, you would just add just a bit of powdered sugar. Not too much is necessary. And what this is going to do, it's going to build kind of a crispy top, as you would have with a creme brulee. Okay, and you can kind of see that here. It gives it a bit of shine and a bit of a crispy top as well. Alright, so once it's bruleed, I'm going to add in some more powdered sugar on top, but just a very light dusting. I want a little bit of the shine to still show, but I just want to add something to it as well. So I'm just going to add a bit of a dusting of the powdered sugar. And that's how I chose to decorate mine. You can choose to decorate yours as you please, but this is actually our finished lemon tart. It's a nice flavor, very tart, no pun intended again, from the lemon. Also that blueberry sauce adds a bit of tartness to it. It's just a very refreshing dessert for spring, and it looks beautiful. It tastes great. As long as you do your prep work, it's pretty easy to make. And you know, why not challenge yourself if you've never made a tart? This is a good one to try because it's not too difficult. So I hope you guys do give this a try. The full recipe will be on facefood.com. As always, all the quantities and instructions will be on there. Let me cut into this so you can see what it will look like once you slice it. Now remember, if you want a nice clean slice, remember our rule of heating up your knife really well, wiping it in between each cut, and slicing down. And yeah, that's our slice of tart. Alright, so like I said, the full recipe is going to be on facefood.com, so give this a try. Make sure to subscribe to this channel for more great videos on the way. Like this video if you like it, I appreciate it. Leave any comments or questions that you have down below and I'll get to them. And until next time, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day.
I've been reading you to figure what you're down for. I wanna figure out to make it come around. But we should quit the game and settle things right here, right now. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about all the things you do. I wanna take you from everywhere.